Okay, so I'm going to try and do this in little batches. This is still under the X Club rant. I'm going to rant, I think, for a little while on this. And as I'm ranting, I'm going to try and throw in some philosophy and some basic principles in life and, the way I view life, the experiences I come across, so that, people on the other end watching this video can see, first of all, that I'm a real person. I have real problems like everybody else in the world. I try and keep a handle on my problems. Sometimes my problems, they get out of control, but, as long as you try and keep a handle. So today we're kind of focusing on the broom and the fact that I am now getting ready to sweep and wash the floor. But in the meantime, I've moved my books over here. I'm still working on those. And we're going to go back out on the porch. What I ended up doing was, after I got off the video last time, I'm still dehydrating. I came across a bunch of vegetables and apples, and I bought 200 pounds of potatoes for 40 bucks. Like, where are you going to get 200 pounds of potatoes for 40 bucks? The carrots were $8.88. The cabbage was $8.88. I bought 75 pounds worth of carrots. Actually 100 pounds, because I dehydrated 1 pound, or 25 pounds. I dehydrated 25 pounds. I'm on to my other 25 pound bag of carrots. This is a lot of work. This is hard work. I'm doing this by hand too. I'm shredding by hand, like a knucklehead. And then I bought 50 pounds of cabbage. I even went out of my way and bought myself a new dehydrator for the apples, because I bought I bought quite a bit of apples and lemons. So I'm going to do apples. I've been actually waiting for apples for apple season. I thought I was all wound up, but when I came, and then I bought beets too. I bought 25 pounds of beets for like $3, $3 per 10 pounds, 5 pounds. So $3 for 5 pounds. So back to the X shop. So after getting off of the last video, I thought about it, and I just went into the newspaper and phoned up a roofer, had him come by. We cut a deal for $100, and he went up there and he did it right. He added another tarp from the peak of the roof, and he said that maybe if we would have done it right the first time, it wouldn't be costing so much money, because I am definitely tallying up what it's costing me in terms of tarps, people that I'm paying, people that even my son went up there and did what he could do, and of course he didn't get paid, right? But I want to talk about emotional baggage. Okay, my mind is flipping, so you just bear with me. This is still leaking, and of course I already emptied out some water. And when I moved into this house, I moved out of a very bad environment. Oh, see this electrical cord? That goes into here. Currently I have a heater going to try and dry out. I don't want the things to get moldy in here. That's why I tarp and blanket. If you blanket and then tarp, chances are a lot of it doesn't get, you'll be able to keep the mold out of the stuff. The outside might get a little grimy, but that's what plastic bags and stuff are supposed to do. It's supposed to protect things from the air. So anyway, I got a heater going in here right now, just to kind of dry out, because we know we had a flood. So we're just going to let it dry out for the day. In a couple days, I have to mop this up. The roofer said that I shouldn't have any more problems because of the way he laid the tarp. So if that doesn't happen, he said he's more than welcome to come back and do it again, just under warranty. And I'm going to add his little advertisement. He gave me permission. So back to this. Okay. So when I moved out of my last place, it was a very, very difficult situation, because what had happened was, when I lived in the apartments, I had a lot of haters that complained when I was out there doing things with the kids. You heard it from the mouths of babes. They told you, wait till I start cleaning up after spending 10 hours outside with, multiples of children coming in batches. And, at the end of the day, you're trying to put the tables away and pick up garbage and, put the paint or whatever, tools. And this lady used to come out and cause trouble, and she'd have her little mob, her gangbangers, the ones that jumped on the bandwagon, and, proceeded to participate to eventually have my family evicted from the premises, because my family, under that kind of stress, seeing their mother go out and do positive things, going into her own pocket, spending money, trying to do fundraisers, and the fundraisers weren't working very well, and trying to do this and trying to do that. So at the end of the day, we ended up getting an eviction notice in November of, I think it was 2008. Yeah. And in the year of 2008, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada had the largest snowfall it had in 50 years. So here I am in the middle of December 15th. I had to be out, and I couldn't chance it. I couldn't take it to arbitration, because this at this time, with the politics in the economy. Apartment buildings were something to kind of flip around like pancakes, and a lot of people were getting evictions, and and because the company had the money to take it to arbitration and pay $5,000 for a sheriff, it was easy for people to get locked out of their houses. So here I am with my family, facing the same circumstances in the middle of winter, looking in the rental market for another place to live, with few choices. So long story short, I got stuck with this upper floor of a fourplex in between, another fourplex and another fourplex that already had its personal pecking politics going on in the neighborhood block, right? So I moved in there, December 15th, with snow up to my, elbows, and, I drove my car. It was actually quite funny, because at the end of the day, you'd be driving down the road and the snow was so high, you go down the road and I'd goose it, right? Because, my car drives really good when it's heavy, so I'd goose it, and my tires would catch into the rivets of the snow, and the snowbank was like, oh god, on the road it was like 1.5 feet in some areas, so it would be like a little go-kart thing, that was on a track. So I'd goose it, and I just kind of wobble on down the road, and it was so winter wonderland. But anyway, after the snow melted and I got to actually look at one of my tires, my right hand tire was like, it was so ragged that the wires are out, and this is the conditions that I moved my family under. And so we moved there, and I had the same problem. If you don't like it, move. Because I complained about several things that were wrong in the house. Well, the fourplex, hydro, whatnot, no lights, things didn't work. Fridge was leaking all the time, right? And I'm talking. Shoe on. Don't. It takes. I don't want to clip it. All right. So East Indians, South Asians, whatever they want to call themselves, Hindu, Punjabi, it doesn't really matter. It's not being racist, they're not like me, so they're somebody, right? So, but I'm trying hard to, to settle in with my family and take the bad experiences that we had when we were living at the apartment and remove them from my family's memory, because we went through a lot of bad experiences with their mother going out there doing all these positive things and then being chewed up over it, right? And psychologically, my children, they were young, right? They were 8, 9, 10, 11, like the ones that were with me. My son was like 15, 16, 16, 17. And, and they can see that nobody cares except for maybe the kids and the few parents that came out and participated, right? But at the end of the day, nobody really put any money into it, and that's another, for whatever reason, I've heard, well, we thought you were a paid employee, or blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, if parents got their kids out there participating in something and they can see that it has value, the parents themselves need to financially contribute, because at the end of the day, I burned out, I got kicked out, right? I don't know if I would have burned out, right? But I was planning to move out of there anyway, because I kept having the same problem. Let's go on to the rocks. The rocks look better. Who wants to look at a leaky pipe? So, I'll just try and focus in on these rocks. I don't think the birds are around today. I hear them, but, So, long story short, I had so many electrical problems. And so I called in the city. I did an inspection because one time, the other side of the laundry room, the water pipe to the wash machine broke. But the way they wired everything, when it broke, the piping was shooting right back into the dryer. And because the seals that they put the pipe together, which was a plastic pipe, it wasn't even a metal pipe, was plasticking. Personally, I honestly think that the house had a grow up in it, and that's why I was having so many hydro problems, because they were jacking into my hydro, and with the type of piping that they had, and just with the attitude and everything. So city came, did their inspection, and then put down a 120-day work notice, like stop work order. In other words, they had to do it right. So of course, the landlord refused to do anything, made it harder for me. You know, had some Mickey Mouse look like he was high on some kind of drug family member come in and do some Mickey Mouse this, that, and everything else. I got pictures. And it got to the point where come October, and I haven't even been here for a year now, okay? And I planted a garden, and I painted their porch, and I did a lot of stuff, right? I had to paint the foyer, because in my mind, I wanted to settle down with my family. I mean, the place wasn't perfect, but it wasn't that bad either. You know, just needed a few things fixed. And but the landlord just wanted to make it hard for me. It was almost like, to me, it felt like she was trying to kill me off, kill off my family, because within the East Indian culture or South Asian culture, there's a certain amount of people that feel that they're superior, and that goes same thing with the Jews. It goes, Black people feel the same way about Africa, and Chinese feel the same way about the Buddha, or whatever it is, right? As each culture has their superiority thinking. Well, under the circumstances of living in British Columbia, Canada, when you're poor and you're white and you've got mulatto children or mixed children or whatever, or it could be half Chinese or half Indian, and it doesn't matter, it's the fact that we're mixed and we're not purebreds, and we're not the pure Punjabi. It got to the point where, like, with her negligence and her purposely, well, I don't speak English, but yet you can do this, I find that a lot of people, it doesn't matter if they're East Indian or whatever, right? I'm just going to say East Indian because that's what I grew up. My mother dated an East Indian. My mother loved East Indians, so there's no disrespect to the East Indian, okay? This is about social, just getting along socially and being responsible to each other. And if you want responsible tenants and you find one, then why don't you make it easier for the tenant to be able to be a productive member in society, instead of trying to go out of your way to, I had leaky roof, I had problems with hydro so bad and water so bad that the city felt that they had to shut it down and, give the owner some time to, reduce some repairs, but the owner chose to bring in some Mickey Mouse, let's get high in the basement and cut up the walls and pretend we're doing somebody, Joe, Harinder or whatever his name is, just to piss off the tenant. Long story short, I got an eviction notice to move by December 15th, the day I moved in 3 feet of snow. And because they just simply refused to do anything. And the city was gonna just, I don't know, the sheriff would have came in. They obviously had the money to pay $5,000 for a sheriff, so it doesn't matter if it's a proprietor of a home or if it's a company of a home. People that abuse their tenants do it for a reason. So, okay, now I'm running around looking for a place, kind of in denial, don't want to move, tired, worn out, but I have to protect my family. So I, jump on my car, and I'm trying to be strong, and I have to repack everything up and blah, 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 and, and let the past go in terms of I painted this, I painted that, I planted a beautiful garden, blah, 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 right? And I'm going to just click this out so I don't have to trim it, and I'll come back.